So this was the slide we used yesterday. Okay, I just have some final words here. All right. So yesterday I'll just do a little bit recap of yesterday. So basically, the 2-day class is just to cover design principles for UI designers, basically. So yesterday we'll cover the first 10 basic principles. I clearly explained yesterday. I said that principle is basically guidelines that ensure that if we follow them, it will further improve our user interface, right? So it's always good whenever you're starting this particular career and you're coming up with visual designs, you want to know some of these principles to guide you, to aid you, come with amazing interface for users, right? So we spoke about the 10 basic principles of design that has to do with alignment, contrast, balance, emphasis, proportion, hierarchy, repetition, white space, unity, variety, the Gestalt design principle. And today, which is the second day, we'll be focusing more on UI element design principle, right? So this particular thing I'm about to share today, more or less, more than the principle, they are like hacks, right? So if I don't want to call it principle, I might not necessarily call it principle, I'll call it hacks, right? So some hacks that you want to use to come up with some basic UI elements, right? And I have one particular website that I would also share with you guys. If you, just in case there's anybody that don't know about that particular website, the website is like value loaded in terms of UI elements principle. If you consume the resources on that particular website, your knowledge base in terms of designing elements and principles and guides and tricks, hacks to come up with UI elements will drastically improve. And of course, you guys should know that particular website. The name of the website is called material.io. So it's by Google. Material design is by Google. And I always advise anybody that is getting started in their UI, especially UI design career, to always go through this particular website and consume the resources in this. In fact, the entire website, I see the entire website as a tutorial, right? And sometimes I just come over here, just while away time, spend some time here, and each time I come on this particular website, I learn a thing or two. So when you come on this particular website, so you just want to click on design. And when you click on design, you get to see several principles you see. But the only disadvantage about this website is that the principle they teach you is focused solely on material design pattern, right? Which is Google design patterns for their product, right? But nonetheless, it's going to help you learn more. You could see that if you watch my design system video on YouTube, you could see that the naming convention follows the material design naming convention too, as well, right? So you see foundation in terms of design, they just tell you about designs, layouts, blah, 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 and the rest. If you want to learn about colors and navigation, you click on navigation, understanding navigation. When you do that, you just see different types of navigation. They just like, you go through it. It's like a material that you're learning, right? But you'll just be teaching you stuff and the rest. So you can learn about environments in terms of elevation. Elevation has to do with shadows and the rest, how to create light shadows. You learn color, you learn about typography, you learn about sound, right? You know that UIs too also have sound. For example, all those send messages sound like, for example, Twitter has one sound that just introduced when you refresh in message, when you refresh your feed, you hear one sound. So basically how to play with sound. So there's so many things you can learn in terms of shape, iconography, motion. If you're adding like micro interaction into your design, you may want to go through the motion aspect. So this is just like a bonus one that me just telling you guys, okay, there's a lot of stuff to learn here when it comes to UI elements and principles and guidelines. But it has to do with material design, right? So I use this stuff a lot. And sometimes I just come here, intentionally spend like a couple of minutes on this particular platform, pick a thing or two, I fly with it. That being said, I will close this particular website, go to the website material.io, just solve the website and learn anything that you can find there. So now coming back to what we have here, let me close this one. So coming back to what we have here, I'll start talking about some of these guides. As I said earlier, they don't necessarily principle per se, they are like hacks, right? For you to come up with amazing UI designs, right? So the first hack that I have here is that of buttons. Now, one of the serious problems that I've encountered while I'm working with or mentoring or teaching somebody that just getting started in this particular field is, Samuel, how do I come up with button? Should I use rectangle for my button? Should I use film for my button? How do I come with perfect buttons? Now, if you've seen that particular design system on button, the second part I did is on YouTube. I advise everybody to basically watch that particular video. That is like an in-depth explanation of buttons. But I'll just use this particular. I'll right now show you guys some of the trick I normally use to come up with my buttons, right? So I will show you. So if you ask me, Samuel, should I use what's the word now? Should I use rectangle or frame for button instead of Figma? Of course, you know the advice I will give you. I will always go with frame, right? So frame is like one of the perfect way to come up with buttons and stuff like that. So these are I normally come up with buttons. This is like my tradition basically. So I would just draw a frame of any shape. I don't care the size of the frame at first. So I would give this I'll just call this a button, and let's call it sign up, for example. So let's say this button is a sign up button. So it depends on the size you're working with. At first, if I'm working with a medium-sized button, I can work with 16 px size, right? If I work with 16 px size, I could make it medium. Medium, that is the weight. Now, medium being the weight, it depends on the font as well, right? And what I'm trying to achieve. If I'm trying to achieve minimalistic design, I might not use medium in terms of weight. Then once I've done that, the next thing I want to do is basically click on my frame. Then I'll give this stuff auto layout. Of course, the moment I have auto layout, now auto layout creates my button for me, right? I ensure that the text here instead of my auto layout is at this particular middle area. You could see me here, I center aligned it, right? Then the next thing I want to do is, the most important thing about this particular button is the padding inside of the button. So I use what I call 2:1. That is whatsoever is the top and bottom padding, the left and right padding will be ×2 that particular value. Or sometimes again, I use 3:1, which simply means if the top and bottom padding is 1, the left and right padding should be 3 times that particular value. So any of those ratios, what I use. So I will come over here now, after giving it auto layout, I'll come over here. Let's say my top button now, I want it to be 10. I want the space at the top to be 10. Then left and right, if I'm using 2:1, I'll make it 10 times 3 is what? You got it 20, right? So now I have like a perfect button right here looking at me. So the next I just need to do is basically try to see if I could change the color to something else like this. So I have like a perfect button looking at me right here, right? So I have that sign up looking at me. So it depends the kind of button you're working on too as well. You can add like just 5 here to just give it a little bit rounded edge a bit. And I have this kind of button. So when you're working with buttons, you might also want to create like small size buttons, outline buttons, different states for these particular buttons as well, right? So if I'm creating like a different state in terms of like the hover state, the focus state, the active state, disabled state, all I just have to do is tweak that particular color. But let me talk about the size. So if I'm increasing the size, I'll just increase the size of the text. Let's say I want a larger button. I'll create the size like 20. Once I increase the size like 20, I can also increase the layout when I select the frame, right? All right. Are you guys hearing me?
Yes,
very well, sir.
All right. So I can also increase the auto layout as well. So I can increase this to like 15 there about and increase this to like 30, right? So I also have like an amazing stuff there. Right, I also have like a larger button. Then if I want a smaller button, if I reduce this, I can also reduce this as well. So this is just one trick. So you could use 2:1 as I use in this particular button. You could even also use 30. Now, one thing I realized with using 30 is the fact that, you see, when you use 30 at the bottom, you have more breathing space. It's not like closed tight and stuff. So it's really, really good. And it's still an amazing button. But anything about 3:1 or 2:1, it's out of it totally, right? So basically that's just it. So I want to like keep my buttons to this particular value or to this particular size at all time. Then I could actually click on this particular stuff over here. If I want a smaller button, I could reduce this to like 14 or thereabout, and also reduce the size as well of my. So instead of 10 or so or so on and so forth, I can give 18. Then 18 times 2 or 18 times, if I'm using 3:1, I do 24, right? If I'm using 3:1, I do 16, right? But any of those two actually work. So now if I align this particular button now like this, now you see you have our small, we have our small, we have our medium, we have our large, or any you want to call it. This could be your medium, this could be your large, and this could be your extra large. And you can say, okay, look, I don't just only want to have small, I want to have extra small. So if I want to make this stuff extra small, all I just have to do is basically reduce this again to 12 and reduce this totally as to like 5 and let's say 10 there about or 15, it depends. Then we'll have another extra small button staring at us there, right? So yeah, these buttons are actually small buttons. And so that's one of the trick I used to in creating my buttons. And of course, using Outlier to create a button is an amazing trick because the moment you keep typing, no matter the size of this particular button, you just keep going, right? Continue shopping. Continue. Am I spelling this thing right? Continue shopping. So no matter anything that you type, basically the button just like I'm stretched to accommodate that. So even if I'm bringing like, let's say I'm bringing like an icon into this particular button right now, right? It's just going to accommodate that particular stuff for me over here, right? So which is like super great if you're working with buttons, right? So you could do so many stuff like this. So if you want to further understand button and how to create like an entire button library, right? I was showing you guys yesterday. Okay, I think this is it. If you watch that particular video more, you will learn how to create an entire button library. Of course, you could see here, I created an entire button library. This is an entire button library that has to do with solid outline text and the sizes by this other side as well. Then the different shades of the button from the primary, secondary, and the contextual colors as well, right? So you can watch that particular video. Everything is covered in that particular video inside of YouTube, right? So that being said, about how to just create buttons using this 2:1 or 3:1 hack, right? So the next thing I want to talk about is best practice, right? Some of the best way you want to use buttons, right? So let's take a look at some of the best way you want to use buttons. So I want to make this class as fast as possible so that you guys can go back and watch your Big Brother Nigeria highlight and stuff like that, right? So the first one is make buttons look like buttons. That's number one, right? So I've seen some people that sometimes you create buttons and it doesn't feel like buttons, feel like another UI element that is not buttons. So you want to make button looks like buttons. So let me, okay, I'm coming. All right, want to make button looks like button. Of course, this by now is a button. It's a text-based button, but if I put it this way, it might not really look like button. Unlike here, I have this particular by now, right? So you want to make your button look like button. Number two, put buttons where user can find them, right? So if you take a look at this second design, you can highly find where the explore collection is, right? Aha, of course, this is where it is. So you want to put buttons where user can find them. This is like one of the things that you want to ensure that you do about buttons. Number three again is make the most important button look like it's the most important button, right? So you want to actually do that as well and put button in a sensible order. This is more sensible. This other one is more simple. Keep shopping, view cart, checkout is more sensible than this other one, right? So you want to put button in a more sensible order, right? Then number five, label buttons with what they do. You get my point? And since you're not logging, guess checkout, right? Since you're not logging, no or yes, this is wrong. This second one is wrong. So you want to put something like this. Since you're not logging, right? So label button with the right copy with what they do. So that's not about buttons. Okay, that's not that. The next one is button alignment. Now, button alignment is one of the corrections I've made severally. Corrected so many people on this particular aligning of buttons, right? So especially when you're using button in form and there's short button. So basically we have three different ways you can align button, especially when you're using it inside of a form, right? Is that the button is aligned to the left of the form or to the right of the form, or it is fully stretched? Oh God, this stuff is changing. Okay, let me just go back to, let me use it here. It's either the button is aligned to the left, to the right, or full stretch. This particular one here, this is wrong, right? This is wrong. This particular one here is wrong. You should not align a small button and centralize it to the form. So I've seen so many people even use it in terms of, especially on button on mobile app. The button is a small button and they will not centralize it. That is wrong, right? So even if you see it in any live application, the designer is not doing the right thing. So it's either you align the button to the left, to the right, or you stretch the button to be full width, which we call block button. But you don't want to have your button like this, aligned and centralized. So this particular one that is selected is actually totally wrong. So you don't want to do that, right? So the next thing again is, the next principle I want us to look at is consistency, right? So of course we spoke about consistency in depth last class, which was yesterday. And that design consistency is what ties UI elements together with distinguishable and predictable action, which is key for great product experience and an important thing to consider for UX designers, right? Consistency can be achieved by implementing similar design patterns and following brand elements such as color. Now, consistency comes in terms of color, consistency comes in terms of brand pattern, consistency comes in terms of design trend, right? I'll also talk about design trend at the end of this particular video, and I'll give you guys a bonus, something I don't have inside of this material, which I promised you guys yesterday, which will be how to review design, right? So of course, one of the ways I achieve consistency right here, if you take a look at it clearly, is in the terms of border radius, right? You could see in terms of border radius. I show that the product card has the border radius, the sliders has border radius, and this stuff has a border radius. And if I play this particular design for you guys, let me show you guys something. If I play this particular design, principles, go to design, and I choose to play, let me delete this. I was teaching these guys how to do something the other day. So if I happen to play this particular design for you, one of the things that you're going to notice about the design is consistency in color and in a particular design trend that is called card design. Everything on this particular design is basically card, just group of cards everywhere. And that's what you will notice. The first thing you notice about this particular design, let me command /. All right. So the first thing you're going to notice about this particular design is the fact that there is a lot of card everywhere. All of the design is basically card. So you could see card here. The category over here, you could see card here. The product is all card all through. Card all through, basically. Then if I choose to go to the category page, right, you could see everything here is also card. You could see that. You could see me also using what's the word, overlay here, to ensure that the name of the category is visible, right? Everything here is card, right? Everything. Okay, I don't know if I didn't prototype this. Everything here is card. If you go to the search page as well, everything here, the product here is card. This particular sidebar, category, size, price, everything here is basically cards, right? Everything is basically cards. Everything basically card. All of these are card designs. Now you could see the consistency in terms of the design trend. So towards the end of this video, we're going to, towards the end of this class, we're going to talk about several design trends, right? You see, you want to maintain the same design trend as I maintained here. You could say I maintain cards. Everything are just card design all through, just the background and card everywhere. If we go to the product page as well, everything is basically cards all through. Everything is card. You could see this particular stuff. They are all card. Everything is card. Everything, every damn thing that you see here, they are basically card that just makes up this particular design. I click on buy now, guest checkout. Everything, even the checkout page, they are all card. Everything here is card. Pay now. Everything is just card. You could see that, right? Everything here is card. Then you could now click success. Yeah, everything is card. Everything. Go to the cards page. Every page that you go to is basically cards. Everything. Everywhere you go to the cards page, it's card. You go to the profile page. Anywhere you go to is basically card. Login page. You successfully, why is this button changing? Successfully log in, it's card. You want to see your order, it's card. Every damn thing here is just card, right? So you could see that everything is just card. This particular drop down here is a card and stuff like that. So the design trend is consistent across the entire product, right? So, so that's what you want to know about consistency. Maintain the same design pattern. Maintain everything across the entire design. Don't come one side and change that particular stuff, right? The second one too is iconography and typography, right? Of course, I just covered a little bit inside of here. So iconography are images, icons. Of course, you know what icons are. So one of the things about icon again is trying to implement consistency in terms of your icon, right? So there's this particular site where you see lots of icons. That site name is called Flat Icons. I think so. Flat Icons, it's a very popular one too. You can go to Flat Icons. You can search for several icon pack. Now, in terms of icon, one of the hack for icon is that when you start with a certain kind of icon, like a solid icon, this first 1, 2, 3 now, they are solid icon. You don't mix it in that same project with an outline icon. So I call this particular first a solid or fill icon. So when I start with this kind of icon that has fill, in that particular project, I will not mix it with an outline icon again. Once I do that, my design is not consistent. I'm breaking the consistency rule. That's number one. Number two, once you start with a certain icon pack, you don't want to change an icon pack. What do I mean? This icon now is gotten for it's an icon pack called Iconly, right? Then instead of that project, I don't want to mix it with another icon pack like feather icons or another icon pack. So the first thing you want to do is to decide if the icon pack that you want to select in the beginning of the project has all the necessary icons that you want to do. So you don't just go online and download any kind of icons that you feel like downloading. The first thing is, do this particular icon pack, does this particular icon pack have the entire set of icons that I would love to use? If the answer is no, you want to first and foremost select the best icon pack. And one of the popular websites where you see amazing icons and several icon packs, please help me.
Please, sorry to interrupt. Someone's mic is on. Can they turn it off?
Will be that of flaticons.com, right? So there's several icons there that are illustrative icons, there are highly detailed icons. There are several icon packs that you can see on this particular website. Let me show you guys something. If I search for home, for example, and I search for home on this particular website, and I will see several icons, right? So this icon, the home here and the home here and the home here and the home here and home here and home here, they are all separate. They have illustrative homes and so on and so forth. They have illustration that have outline. This one is flat illustration. So all of this stuff are different patterns, right? So once I choose to use one icon pack, let's say I want to use a particular one I'm selecting now. Once I click on it here, it's going to show me that look blah blah blah. I'm going to see if more icons from social network pack. So this is the pack here, more icons from social network, right? So what the first thing I want to do is to click on social network. Yeah, then I will see all the icon pack of this particular icon. So the next thing I want to ask myself is, do I want to use this particular icon pack, right? So does this icon pack have the entire thing I want to use before I will know if I will download this particular home or not? So that in the entire project, I will maintain this icon pack alone, right? So I can go ahead and click on download. Of course, it will download in PNG. Then if you probably have actually have a paid account or something, you can download this in SVG. So download format and so on and so forth, right? You can now download the entire icon pack. You have like 50 icon pack, but if this icon pack does not have the entire icon you want to desist from using it. So that's why we have some of the popular icon packs that we have out there that you see several designers use, like the Iconly icon pack, the Font Awesome icon pack, the Feather Icons icon pack, the material design icon pack as well as material icons and so on and so forth. So the first thing you want to do when it comes to icon is to select your icon pack, right? So don't just use icon randomly. And once you start with a certain a fill icon and so on and so forth, you want to maintain that fill icon all through, right? So that's one of the things, yeah. So the next thing I want to talk again is about typography. So typography, of course, if you watch that YouTube video, I covered typography in the first video inside of the design system. So you might want to watch it to get more in-depth understanding about typography and typefaces and type system. So in that particular video, I came up with this particular, of course, this is a plugin, right? I showed you guys the plugin I use to come up with my type. Once I just select the font, you want to stick to this sans serif font family. So once you have your font set up, you want to use this particular plugin called the what's the name of that plugin again? Stylist, text and color stylist plugin. So once you click on this particular plugin, let the plugin come up now. I'm waiting for the plugin to load. So once the plugin comes up, right, you will be able to see several stuff that you can do. You'll be able to select the icon, and the plugin will automatically help you generate your typography styles. Then you can now use another plugin called typography to generate these things. Yeah, I didn't do this thing manually myself, basically. So I use Sora in this particular stuff, and just watch that particular video and you have more in-depth understanding of plugins. I wonder why this particular plugin is not coming up. Okay, it's running now. All right, it's up. So you see typography here, you can now select like the typography. So they have different scale. So when it comes to typography, the first thing you also want to think of is the scale of your plugin, right? How do you want to scale that particular plugin? So you could see that this particular plugin is going from 10, 13, 16, 20. I love to keep my plugins under even numbers, right? I don't necessarily want to use this major text. Now, most people use major text, which is also good. And for some certain reason, I love to use this other one here because it gives me a more accurate even numbers that I want. So if I keep adding this stuff, any one that I don't want to use, I can basically just take it off, right? I can just do it like this. So you want to watch that particular video to take a look at what I did in that particular video and how to basically use stuff like this to come with your character styles and so on and so forth inside of Figma, right? So apart from that, again, you also want to learn how to combine your fonts, right? And in your design, again, number 3, in your design, you don't want to use more than 2 fonts. Some people call it font, some people call it font face, some people call it font family, anything that you call it, right? So you don't want to use more than 2 font faces inside of your project, right? So, and if you're using 2, you want to ensure that those 2 actually go together. Right? In most cases, I only use one particular font. And sometimes, again, this font might be coming from the brand identity, from the style guide that will be created by the brand identity designer. It might not even be you. It might be just be the company might have their own like branded font. That is if you're designing from scratch for that particular company, right? So that's what you just want to know about styles, basically. Now, when it comes to recommended styles, so some people have asked me, Someone, what are the recommended font sizes that you want to use, right? So if I go through by that material design, now, one of the recommended font size I want to use for your body text is 14 points for your body text. Then sometimes you might go as high as 16, but you don't want to move as more than 16. But still, yet this stuff is just guide. It is not like a rule that is set on stone. So you want to ensure that the font size that you use for your body text is like 14 points, right? Woo, somebody say I'm moving really fast. Is that true, guys? Am I moving real fast? I hope we can access the recording because I'm moving pretty fast. I'm trying to be as fast as possible. Am I too fast, guys?
Yeah, a little bit.
You're very fast, very fast.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, I would try to slow down my speed a little bit. All right, I will slow down my speed now, and I will also give room for questions. All right, I'm trying to beat time. I think I'm a little bit time conscious today than yesterday. Then yesterday we spent about 2 hours, and yeah, I was not trying to beat time so that you guys can watch people or something. I don't know, but yeah, but I'll slow down my speed a bit. So I'm at that'll be recording anyways. Under fonts, right? Let me make my point again. So for fonts, number 1, I said that you want to use that particular plugin I showed you guys, which is, let me go back. So the name of the plugin is Stylist. So you might want to take it down. Stylist, text and color styles. Stylist, that's the name of the plugin to create your font styles, right? So I'm just making the assumption that we know what font styles are, right? For example, now what are font styles? If I come over here and I type a text and say sample, and I want this to give you my heading 1, I just need to go to under my text here and come over here under heading and say heading 1. It automatically changes and give me my heading 1. I want to give my heading 1 bold, not regular, heading 1 bold. If I wanted to give you my heading 1, or let's say my small, so I have small text, I will go and say small, this, it will give me my small text. So how to create character styles. Of course, this is not like, I'm not trying to show us how to create character styles. I'm just trying to show some principles for fonts, right? Is font number 4? Oh, okay. Let me check. It's not font, it's number 3. I grouped iconography, that is icons and font typography, as number 3, sorry. So it's number 3. So let me go back to my explanation. So that's what I did here. Then number 1, you want to know your typeface. Number 2, you want to try as much as you can not to mix more than 2 typefaces. That's more than 2 fonts, more than 3 fonts, sorry, instead of your project. You want to stick to that, like 2 fonts, and ensure that the combination is basically right. So that's one of the things you want to do. Then for your font again, you also want to ensure that the font is readable and legible as much as possible, right? So those are one of the principles that you want to observe for your font, right? So that being said, let me move on to the next one. The next one here, I will slow down a little bit here and I'll talk about typography a bit. So typography, and not typography, color theory. So color theory is one of the things that actually stress a lot of UI UX designers, especially UI designers, to be specific. So the color theory is the basis for the primary rules and guidelines that surround color, and it's used in creating aesthetically pleasing visuals. By understanding color theory basics, you can begin to press the logical structure of color for yourself to create and use color palettes more strategically, right? Now, for you to know, all of these things is just grammar. For you to really understand color, there is something that is called the color wheel. So what I have here, if you go on Google right now and you search for color wheel, you're going to see something like that, color wheel. So there is, I don't know who came up with that color wheel stuff. So they call it the color wheel. So color wheel or color cycle is an abstract illustrative organization of color hues around the cycle. So they came up with this to help people understand the theory of color, how to mix color, both as a graphic designer and both as a UI UX designer. So probably after this particular video, you want to go ahead and study more about the color wheel, right? And you learn more. But I'll go ahead and explain a little bit about the color wheel here. So now, in this life, we have primary color and secondary color, right? From secondary school, we are taught that primary color are our red, yellow, and blue, right? And when we mix our primary colors, we get what? We get our secondary colors, right? When we mix our primary color, we get our secondary. Red and yellow gives you what? These orange stuffs, right? It gives you orange. Now, red and blue here give you this violet or purple. Red and blue gives you green. So once you mix this particular primary color together, you get your secondary color, right? Then when you now mix your secondary color, you get what they call the compound color. Let me show you. There is a particular one that explained it here. Look at it here. Right, these are your primary colors, right? You mix your primary color, you get your secondary colors, right? You mix your secondary color, you get your what? Your tertiary colors. Now, but that's not the most important thing about the color wheel. The most important thing about the color wheel is how do you know the color that actually go with another color? That's the most important thing about the color wheel. According to the color wheel theory, according to the color wheel theory, right? Opposite color are matching colors. Yeah, I think I'm saying that correctly. Opposite colors are matching colors. For example, now, this particular color here, this particular orange here, the opposite will be this blue. It simply means this blue and this orange are complementary colors. They can complement one another, right? This light shade of green here, and if we move down to this shade of pink here, complements each other. So with the color wheel, you can use that to blend color. Of course, that's not the only tool you want to use. Another question again, UI designers always ask me is, Samuel, how do I know the color to mix with my colors? Number one, you are not the inventor of that particular color as a UX designer. The coming up with the primary color for that particular design is not your job, right? The company or the business or whatever client you're designing for, they already have their own brand primary color. So in other words, they'll be the one that will give you this particular primary color, right? Or you use the eyedropper tool to pick this particular primary color from you use the primary tool to pick this particular primary color from their what's the word now? And from their logo, right? So once you pick the primary color from their logo, you want to look for a tool like this that also helps you to show your complementary color, just in case you don't even want to use the color wheel, right? So let's say, let me come over here now. Let me come over here. So let's say my primary color is this color. So let me click here, and I would I'll do edit style so I can get I want to get the color code. So this is the color code. So I want to go and see of course, the owner of this website will give me this quick shop as their logo. So I can pick this color as a primary color. So I come over here, I will just paste it here. And the moment I paste it here, you see that this stuff has generated my color palette for me, right? From 50 to 900. And I could see that, okay, if I want to use a complementary color to this particular stuff, I could use this, right? But nonetheless, it could be that this color is not in the brand color. So I will look for something else. I could use their brand color. In some cases, they give you something that's already in their brand color, right? So that's just it, right? So you want to do that. Someone is asking me a question. I didn't see that. I didn't see that correctly. All right. So so that's that. Let me see that particular question. Say, what if the company color is black? I don't, okay. Now, of course, I've seen some people where by their primary color is black, but if the primary color is black, that means the company color is a grayscale color, which is quite easy. In fact, one of the best way, I always tell people that one of the best way is to play with the 50 shades of gray with just one touch of color, and you can never go wrong. So if the primary color of the company is black, you're even on the better side, right? You're on the better side of things because you don't want to stress yourself with color. And with black, you can never go wrong. Black and white, you can never go wrong. So you don't need to do that, right? So if the primary color is black, amazing, you can never go wrong. Do we have a brand like that? Of course, there's some brand that their primary color is black, but they'll still have probably like a supporting color or so on and so forth, right? So that's just it. So so that's that. You could use this too. Of course, if you watch a particular video on YouTube as well, I treated colors and I showed you guys the tool that I use, not this, the tool that I use to come up with this particular color palette. It's an easy tool, plugin actually. So if I right click now, I can go to plugin. I will be able to see that particular plugin here. The plugin is called Foundation Color, right? Foundation plugin, USF, Foundation Color Generator. So with the Foundation Color Generator, you can generate amazing colors. Once you have your primary colors, then you can choose the design system guide that you want it to follow. So we have Orbit, we have Atlassian, we have Material, which I love to use a lot. We have Ant Design, right? So I love to use Material because I love their naming convention from 50 to 900. So once you just type your primary color here and hit enter, this stuff does automatically help you generate everything. And all you just have to do is to click on create styles and palettes, and stuff like this will just appear for you immediately, right? So you don't need to start thinking, how do I get my shades of color? So the next thing you want to do again, so apart from your primary color, you want to know your secondary color. This is what they use as a secondary color here. Apart from the secondary color, you want to also have your gray color. So we'll call it gray. After your gray color again, you also want to have 4 different kinds of colors inside of your design. We have the success, we have the error, we have the warning, and we have the info. So once you have these 7 colors inside of your project, these 7 types of colors inside of your project, you are good to go. Let's start again. You want to have your primary color, your secondary color, your gray colors, your gray shade, your success shade, your error shade, your warning shade, and your info shade, right? You are actually good to go. So once we have that done, So the next thing again you want to know about color again is this terminology is called hue, tint, tone, and shade. So what is hue, what is tint, what is tone, and what is shade? So hue is the color, right? The color itself is called hue, pure color, right? Red, whatever color that you are using, that is your hue. By default, it is your hue. That is the color itself. Then what is tint? I'll show you guys what is tint, right? Tint on its own is like a design trend. I call it would I say HTML5 design, right? It's like a design trend. You could see that's one of the things, one of my signature, right? In terms of design. So let's say this is the color. This is the pure color. Okay, let me choose something sexier. So let's say this is the pure color. Then I want to create the tint of this particular color. It's adding white. Now, what do I mean by adding white? I'll be moving towards the white shade. The more I'm adding white shade to this color, guess what I'm doing? I'm tinting the color, right? So the pure color plus white shade like this, you could see that is the same primary color, but I tinted it to a very light shade to get the background. Now it pops out the more orange hue more. So that's the same thing I did here. While coming up with this particular example that I shared on Twitter, and I shared on Twitter. Okay, I switched it. That I shared on Twitter today, right? You could see that the background is a tint of that particular primary color, right? I moved it to the white side a little bit to the point whereby it almost feels like white. Then I leave it. Then it will have that particular tint of that shade, and it will go, right? So you want to tint it. I use it for background a lot. So you want to actually use that particular trick as well, if that's what you want to do. So that's how you create that particular tint there, right? So tint is your color plus white, your pure color plus white give you tint. Let's talk about shade. Let's talk about tone. Tone is your pure color plus white and black. But before we talk about tone, let's talk about shade. Shade is opposite of tint. Unlike tint that you are adding white, shade you are adding black. Shade you are adding what? Black. This is shade. So if this orange is still a pure color and I want to create a shade of the pure color, you know what shade is now? I'll move downwards now. As I'm moving downward, guess what I'm doing? I'm creating a shade of this color because I'm adding what? Black to it. So this is shade. Then the next one that we have there, if this thing remains the pure color, the next one that we have there is what? Tone. Guess what tone is? White plus black. So how do I create tone? I just come over here. This is my pure color. I move diagonal. What's the word? Diagonal. I move diagonal. Diagonal, yeah. I come down like this, right? Guess what I'm adding? I'm adding both white. So this Control Z. I know this is the pure color. If it is tint, I'm going horizontally like this. Control Z. If it is shade, I'm coming vertically like this, right? What is this stuff? I'm coming vertically like this. If it is tint, if it is tone, I'm adding both black and white at the same time. So I will come under this direction like this. I'm adding black and white there. So now you could see this different color. This is the pure color, the tint, the shade, and the tone, right? So that's how you achieve different of those kind of colors. So that's what they're doing here. You say, look, this one is what? This is the pure color, the tint, the shade, and what? The tone. Now, it depends on the percentage of the white and the percentage of the gray that you add to this particular main color, which is the hue. So if you add like 50% white to the pure color, you want to ensure that the complementary color also is 50% white to that particular complementary color so that they are going to what? Complement each other as well. So any question, I hope you understand. Any question about the color part? Any question, guys? Any question? Any question? Should I keep moving? Any question? I'm trying to beat time. Any question? Any questions, guys?
No question, no question. Keep
Are
moving,
we
please.
understanding?
No question. No question, sir.
I've removed my pace a little bit, right? All right, I'm going to increase my gear.
Yes.
I'm going to increase my gear a little bit faster. All right, let's go. So the next one I want to talk about is image selection. I already addressed this a little bit yesterday. I spoke about image selection. So this is a technique I invented this technique, right? I invented the technique. So this is a technique you can use to select the right image for your design during mockup. Now, number one, you can screenshot this. As I said, I might not be sharing these slides. So number one, you want to show that your image tells the story. The image word should tell the story. That is why, somebody, I saw something on Twitter. They said, is it copy before design or design then copy? Right? To me, if you ask me that question, I would say copy before design, because the copy will help you know what you want to design. Right? It gives you direction on how to think, right? How to think. So copy design is really, really good. So let's say I'm designing, for example, now, right? I'm currently planning, so you could see my Photoshop now, right? I'm not a designer, so passport. So who wants to leave the country? You could see passport there. Who would love to leave the country, right? And get a job, a tech job, and wherever they are going to, right? Once I have this right here, I already have this is already telling a message. This image is already telling a message. So if I put Japa, if you're a Nigerian, I put Japa on top of it like this now, you already know what I'm talking about, right? If I just put Japa on top of it, so you could see that the image is already telling a story of the design. Okay, let me mute mute all. So mute all, perfect. So the image is already telling a story. So number one, the image should tell that particular story. Number two, the image with the blend of the color. Now, I shared a post on Twitter, and I also spoke about it yesterday. Let me delete all of this stuff. So I shared a post on Twitter. I said, now between this particular design, you could see this design is a very beautiful design actually. Between this particular design, and what's wrong with Zoom? What Zoom is doing? Just writing, drawing all this stuff on my screen. What did I do to you? All right, I disappeared. So between this particular image, right, and this image, which one is a better choice? I mean, they're both beautiful images, of course, but which one is a better choice? Now, I will show you why one is a better choice now. Let me just permit me to duplicate this. Let me duplicate this design, and let's leave this other one to this same image. This design now, I want to change something. I will show you something. I would click here, and I will select the color, probably the color of this door, and I would do something now. Where is this one? All right. I want to do something now. So just watch what will happen. To further drive home my point, I'll change this to white. So once I do this now, still not looking like it, then this background color now, select this. All right, this is dark. Then I will give it a little bit tint. Okay, this is a dark color. I want to add some point of white to it a bit. Oh. And this color is a very tricky color because if I go up, it will give me orange. If I go up, it will give me orange. So I need to have like white behind it for it to work well. I have to be strategic about this. All right. Okay, let's go. Let's keep going. All right. I got it. Now, just watch what happened now. Do you see that it has started giving you that brown effect now, right? Now, it now goes well with this particular stuff. Now, the difference is I tried to make sure that the brand, the image selection match the brand color. So if I want to select an image, I'm looking for a touch of the primary color inside of that image. A touch of the primary color makes everything go well. So because I'm creating mockup now, I want my mockup to look beautiful. I don't just pick any image I feel like picking. I look for image that has a touch of the primary color. So because I know that this image, this color is yellow, so I want to look for an image that has a touch of this primary color. So if the primary color is this dark brown or chocolate brown or coffee brown, whatever thing they want to call this particular color, right? I want to look for an image that have this particular coffee brown as well, right? Then it will now go. Then I will now be using that color in mind to actually create my design, right? Now just imagine that this image now, this is the image here, right? Now, of course, the floor is even helping this particular image and some other things here. But you can agree with me that that previous image on this particular new design, right, in terms of the color, will go better than this particular one in this particular design. True of us, are you guys in support? What you guys have eyes now? What is your eye telling you? What is in support? What do you guys think? Based on what you can see with your eye visually. I'm waiting. I'm reading the chat. I'm reading the chat. I can read the chat. I can read the chat. Okay, nobody's saying anything. Ken says he doesn't support. All right, but perfect match. Of course, it's easy on the eyes and the color blend. So this is what I do. So there's a lot of color stock image sites where you can go and look for images. We have on splash.com, we have pixabay.com, we have pixels.com. In fact, there are a lot of them. So this is how I get images that have a touch of my primary color. For example, I'm looking for a sofa. So I'll just type sofa here, then I'll not type the keyword of the color yellow. That's all. So now, if this stuff is going to bring me any sofa, because I have yellow there, right, or furniture, it depends on what I'm typing. Let me type furniture, because it seems as if these guys don't know what sofa is. Right, sometimes on Splash could be crazy. Now, when you bring stuff like this, you could see it's bringing a touch of my primary color, right? It's bringing a touch of my primary. You see this stuff is a touch of my primary color. So once I use it inside of my design, it's going to what? Blend effectively, right? Because I have a touch of my primary color. So the image will not be going outside the primary color. I can even choose to go and use this iStock image, right? Of course, but if you want to decide, you pay for it. Say you pay for the image if you want the quality one, or you download it like that and the movie. See, it's beautiful. This is a beautiful image now, right? If I use it in my design, and this image is going to pop out well because it has a touch of my primary color instead of this particular stuff. You could see that there. It's really, really beautiful, right? Just because I added yellow to that particular stuff. Take a look at the second one. Amazing, beautiful image. Now this will be good inside of that design because these two pillowcase there, this particular two pillow there that have a touch of my primary color, compared to other design that will not have a touch of what my primary color. So when I'm looking for what to select, I'm looking for pictures, images that have a touch of my primary color. So it's going to blend with my design. So anything if you're looking for a smiling woman, right? If you write a woman here, let's say woman, just attach yellow to that word there, right? It will look for a woman and to look for a woman that has yellow. See, you look for a lady that is wearing yellow or something of that nature. Then once you use it as well, if you are building a pet website, you can search for dog and just add yellow there too as well, right? It will give you something that has touch of that particular color as well. Then when you use it inside of your design, it's going to blend effectively with your design, right? So that's one in terms of image selection. Now, the second thing about I have under image selection, if time allow me to select, let me see if, okay, let me just be saying that. So the second one, I have image with writable area, right? What am I saying? If you want to select image, right, and you want to put a text on top of that image, you want to ensure that that image have what? Writable area. Now, how do you search for image that have writable area? For example, this kind of text. Now, if I know that I'm not going to remove the background and I plan to write stuff, so I want to look for an image that have writable area, free space. For example, you could see me implementing it here. Under that example post, you could see me implementing it here. I intentionally search for this kind of image because I know that I'm going to write a text here. right? Because I know that I'm going to write it. So I need an image that will allow me to write a text, right? Now, I know that, okay, I don't really care if I'm going to write a text. So I just selected any image because I know that at the end of the day, I want to drive home a point of that I'm going to use overlay, right? So I selected all of this image with this principle in mind, right? I know that, okay, I'm looking for an image that's going to have a text. So I'm going to add another keyword. Guess what the keyword would be? Minimal or minimalist. All right, something like this. So once I add that now, I'm going to see more image that is going to have what? Writable area, because I have that particular stuff over there, right? Any stuff that you see, minimal stores, you always have space for you to write stuff, right? So you want to like select images like that as well. You want to add that as part of your keyword when searching for image, right? That's one. Number two, and if you don't care about writable area, then just know that as long as text is going to come on top of that image, you definitely need an overlay. You need an overlay, right? As long as text is going to come on that image, you need an overlay. Now take a look at this on Splash. Now, each time I hover on top of it, because they know that there's going to be text and the text is going to be white, they added a black overlay to support that particular effect there, right? So you could actually see that too as well. So which is really, really good too. So that being said, anyways, so the next thing I want to talk about, let's see. The next principle I want to talk about is busy image. Of course, a busy image, if the image is a busy image, you want to add overlay to it as well. So I saw platforms for free stock images on splash.com, pixels.com, pixelbay.com. There are a lot of them that you actually want to search, right? So any questions? No questions, I should move forward, right? Any questions for me? We still have 5 more to go, so I will not have enough time. So allow me to like speed up a bit. Allow me to like speed up a bit so I will be able to cover all of the things I want us to cover. So the next I want to cover is shadows. Shadows is another big one. I'm just going to give you guys a trick on how to come up with soft shadows. Now, one of the things that I've seen a lot of beginners do when I come up with shadow, if they draw a shape like this, and probably the shape is a white shape, you go to effect, they click on this, drop shadow, blah, blah, blah. They come over here, they increase, let's say they give you like 8, for example, and they give you like 8 too as well. So this shadow is going to have like a thick shadow, stuff like that. So this is not good. Having a thick shadow is not really good. So I'm going to give you guys a trick on how to come up with soft shadows that you can see in designs that people actually really, really love, right? So I love to use videos a bit, curve edges, all right. So let's create soft shadows. Now, one of the tricks to come up with soft shadows is, for example, if your X is 0 and your Y is 8, or let's say your Y is 20, you want the shadow to be a very thick shadow, right? Or your X is also 20, whatever. The first principle is you want to make your blur times 2 of your Y. Your blur should be times 2 of your Y. So 20 times 2 is what? 40. So my blur is going to be 40. Now, if my blur is 40, another thing again I want to do as well, I want to ensure that my color is not a full black. My color should be like gray. My color should not be full black. My color should be what? Gray. So once I have a gray color, I'm just on my way on creating shadow, a soft shadow. So the next thing I want to add to this particular shadow now is try to reduce my transparency to like 15 or 20, right? So if I have 15 or 20, there you go. I have a pretty soft looking shadow. Boom, somebody should clap for me. Somebody should clap. All right. So just in case you're wondering, if you implement this trick, you can always come up with soft shadows. Probably you look at people's design and these shadows are soft, and you're looking at your own design. Your shadows are always thick, and you're wondering how did you always come up with these soft shadows, right? So this is the trick, right? This is one of the tricks to come up with soft shadow. Now I'll give you guys another trick again. Another trick is how do you come up with neon effects? Let me call it neon effects. Neon, right? You see all this kind of stuff like this. all these kind of UIs like this, right? New, right? It's basically shadows too as well, right? So if you know how to come up with shadow, you should be able to come up with stuffs like this at ease, right? So let's try it. I'll show you guys the trick. So it's a simple trick. There's no big deal about it. Let's say for example, this particular, let me just duplicate this. Let me duplicate this and remove the shadow and just give it a feel of, let's say, full black, so that our unknown will appear. So let me draw another one on top of it, right? So let me give this guy probably this color, right? All right. So let's see how we can create a shadow here that is going to be probably noon or something. Let me give it a little bit rounded edge. All right. Something like this. Extend it a little bit. Okay, now, you see this particular color code? Let me copy the color code. So now I will give it a shadow, right? And in my shadow now, guess the color I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it the exact color of the object. Once I give it the exact color of the object, I've pasted there. So the next I need to do is start to adjust this stuff. So let me give this stuff like 20, thereabouts. Or sometimes if you want the shadow to go round, you just want to give both your Y and your X 00, 00 basically, and just increase the blur and the spread, right? Let's give this stuff like 40 and see how far it will go. And let me move this stuff a bit. So you could see the neon effect there, but it's not really showing for you very well. Let me increase the spread. All right. Let me increase the spread a bit to like 10. I will use this a bit, the stuff a bit like this. Now you could see the way this stuff is glowing. Who could see the way that stuff is glowing now, right? Same color as the whole stuff. But that is when you want the shadow to go around. If you want it to be one side of it, of course, you want to ensure that this one is like 20. So it's going to be adjusting more of one side of it. And if it's more of one side of it, of course, your eye should tell that the transparency here is too much. So I want to like reduce it a bit. So it will give me that particular glow effect too as well. So that's one. Number two, let's say I want to create one object like this. Let's say something like this, and I want this exact color. You could see that the way this particular design is already popping, right? I want to get this exact color, then I want probably like an icon. Let me search for an icon. I probably want an icon here, just on top of it here. And let me increase the size of this icon just to, for that drive home my point. Let's say 45. All right. Let me align both of them together. Make this icon white a bit. And probably make this icon a plus icon. Do I have a plus somewhere here? I don't know. Okay, let me make it. Okay, I have a plus here. Oops. All right, something like this is cool. Now this is like a plus icon, right? So let me add the neon effect now. Now, one of the things I will do to add the shadow here, and that trick I will show you guys is layer blur, not the effect. So I will come over here, I'll draw another cycle. I'll put it here like this. Now, if you're a graphic designer, you should know this particular trick. I'll do it like this now, something like this, right? I'll give this color, this exact same color. Watch what happens. I will send it towards the back. I'm sending it towards the back now. Oops, too back. Come back up. So I'll send it towards the back there. Then guess what? I will go to effect. Instead of drop shadow, I'll change it to what? Layer blur. Then in my layer blur now I can now blur this stuff to any number. So let's see what 40 will give us. All right. So this is what 40 will give us. So if 40 gives me this, I can now use layer blur now to just adjust this stuff to any point. Even if I want to make this stuff look as if it's floating a bit, I just bring it down here like this. I can go ahead and reduce the opacity a little bit, something like this. All right. Then I take my shadow somewhere there like that. Then you could see that little reflection there, right, of that particular stuff using layer blur without necessarily using the regular drop shadow that you guys know. I could even take it up a bit just to give it around that edge like this. You could see the shadow there. So the shadow is not going all around, it's just casting on the floor of that particular button there. So can you guys see that particular tree?
Yes, sir.
I didn't include stroke. Now, with this particular trick again, you can use this particular trick as well to make it look as if it's floating. If I move it away from the shape itself, far away from the shape, something like this, it can give me that floating vibe, right? It can also give, it can give me that floating vibe. Then if I feel as if it's too thick, if I feel as if it's too thick, I just need to like reduce the transparency a bit. And it will also give me that particular floating vibe there. Oops. That stuff floating over there, probably it is. And that is how you achieve such, right? So even with the same shadow effect and so on and so forth, that is the same way you also achieve glass morphism, right? Who know of glass morphism? You know those glass morphism trend, white, blah, blah, blah. You give it like linear gradients, for example. You want to move it towards this side like this and like this. Both sides is going to be white. Let's say this one is like 90%. Please mute your mic, thank you. So let's say this one is 90%, this other one is like 60%, blah, blah, blah. Or 30, I think 90% is too much. What am I doing? That should be like 30, but glass morphism will not really show here because the background is black. You need a background that, the beauty about glass morphism design trend is the background that actually pronounce the glass effects, right? So if we make this like 60 thereabouts, and later we can give it an outline of white outline like this, and probably 20 a little bit. The outline too might not necessarily be, can be like 60 thereabout, just to go around a bit. So you can have your little glass here. But of course, you could see that it's not really giving you that glass stuff because the background is fully black. So another effect that you also want to add is, we call it the background blur. So once you add the background blur now, you make this like 20 or thereabouts, you can now start having that your glass effects. Of course, you guys have seen a lot of something like this on social media a lot. So when you have that background blur, now you have your glass effects there. You could see anywhere, sorry, it's not this. Anywhere you move this stuff to just have that glass effect, then you use it to create all those cards and stuff like that. If you Google glass morphism UI design, you should be able to see stuff like that. So something like this. So it's your background. Like this design, if they didn't put it on top of this background, it will not pop. So it is the background that the design is on top that actually pops, that makes it look like glass, right? It gives you this particular glass morphism trend that I don't think that people really use it in real life, apart from just for fashion and design trend and so on and so forth. So yeah, so you can also use that to achieve that too as well, right? So not just that, just me playing with stuff and make you guys feel good too as well, right? So instead of this design, so there's so many things you could do with shadow. Of course, you could see me creating this kind of effect with shadow, right? This kind of paper effect as well. You can make it a slider and so on and so forth. Let's try that as well. Okay, I don't want to waste much time on that. So if you want to get those kind of stuff, you can do something like this. If you apply here now, you can, what's that word again? If I double tap inside here, I can click here. I can apply stuff here and basically drag this. Then I could, I can, what's the word? I could use this now to stretch it. Sorry. See, I can add a little bit pixel there, then stretch it a bit like this, then escape. Then I will just give it probably my layer blur, right? And just give it a very high number or something. This is not as blurry as I thought it would be. Oh, this is too much. Let's get a very high number, and I have like a perfect blur there. So if I bring in a card, and let's take away the shadow of this one. If I bring in a card like this, and I increase it like this, and I ensure that this card is at the top of the whole thing, right? You could see that, and I move this a little bit inside a bit, like this, and I'm already creating that paper-like effect, right? Now you guys can see that shape. These guys can see this stuff now. So if this is an image, you can even use this stuff in your future design and use it to create, what's the word? You can use it to create like a slideshow, and a slider, right? Instead of your welcome header. Probably one of the days that I'm just less busy, I might create something like that. So you see, amazing effects. So different ways you can actually just play with this stuff and create shadows as well. So that being said, I would move on to the next thing that I have here. So please, what is your YouTube channel? I need to go through the class again. Don't worry, I will send it to the group. So let's take a look at that. I said avoid using full black. Let's take a look at some of the rules for shadow. Avoid using full black, that is 000 as for shadow. Double the y-axis for the blur. Think of the direction of light. Okay, I did not mention that one. Think of the direction of light. Sometimes light might be coming from this angle. Your shadow wants to cast here. This light is coming from this other angle. Your shadow wants to cast in the opposite direction. If your light is, if it's a point light, your shadow will cast around, right? So you want to think of the direction of light creating your shadow. You want to use the color of the elements to create a neon or glow effect. Try to keep the opacity as low as possible. Then be creative and create shadow with layer blur. So we've done all of that. So the next thing I want to talk about is layout and grid. I will not waste much more time here because I already addressed it yesterday, and you can also watch the video on YouTube. I said the layout is the structure that supports the visual components of an interface. Using a grid creates a consistent experience across multiple devices with different screen size. In fact, there's this particular video on YouTube. Let me search for it. You guys might want to watch that particular video and on YouTube after this particular course to learn how to create responsive design, right? I did that particular video like a month ago. Let's see, responsive design. I don't know what I named it anymore, but let me just add maybe here. Let's see if it's going to come up. Okay, this is the video. It just pops up. So you want to go through this particular video as well, and you would see it's to show you how to create responsive design. I covered 2 plugins inside of this particular video. It's free for anybody to watch on YouTube. You see this particular video here on responsive design, and you should actually watch this particular video. Let me just copy the link and share it now to us, right? It will help you in terms of how to create responsive design and so on and so forth. And so on and so forth. Okay, someone is asking me to reshare my screen. That this stuff will clean up. Okay, let me try. Let me try that trick. Reshare my screen again. All right. Thank you for sharing that trick with me. All right. So you want to watch this particular video as well on responsive design. It will help you understand how to do responsive design, and also I would in the video also you also learn another dimension of grid system, right? And different points for grid system in order to create responsive design as well. But in grid system, one of the things that you want to learn in grid system is your margin, your padding, and your gutter space as well, right? But what the design system did you're going to understand more on grid system, right? So let's proceed. The next one I have here is cards. Yeah, cards is one of my favorite design. And in fact, when you look at several design, I always tell people that UI is very, very simple. Every UI is basically rectangle, 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 rectangle everywhere. You know how to create card, you know how to create rectangles, you should know how to create amazing UIs, right? So a card in a UI design pattern A card is a UI design pattern that group related information in a flexible size container. The following can be observed while creating a UI card, right? Separate color from the background. So I have like 3 different principles to create UI cards. So let me just quickly show you guys. So 3 ways I can create card, right? So let me create a very big frame. So if the background color is white, if I want to create a card, guess what I want to do? I want to ensure that, let's say this is the card now. Card is always rectangles, right? So I want to ensure 3 ways to create a card. 3 ways to create a card. So number 1, principle number 1 or guideline number 1, you give it a shadow, right? So let's say I give this stuff a shadow, and the shadow of this stuff now is going to be, so the shadow of this stuff is going to be like, okay, 2020, okay, let me give it 0. Let's give this 0. Let's give this 0. Let's give this 0 as well. And let's give this 20. All right. This stuff is not showing. Is probably that stuff is too big. All right. So you could see that just by adding a little bit of shadow to this card, but it's not increasing as I expected it to increase. Let me give this. All right. To go further now. This don't create this kind of card in real life. All right, so this card looks pretty amazing now. All right, so this is a card, and the difference between this card is basically the shadow. So if it's the same background, right, you can apply a shadow to it. Another thing that you could do to it if it's the same background as well is just give it an outline, a simple outline like this. Automatically makes it a card. What's happening to my stuff? Everything is just a simple outline like this, probably a gray. Let me give it like a slight gray outline. Automatically makes it a card too as well, right? So, but another most preferred way to create a card is when the card has separate backgrounds, right? So let's say the background of this particular designer is F5, 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 F5. My favorite gray background, then the card does not need a shadow as well. So these are 3 cards. Same background, the card should have a shadow, but no outline. Or outline, no shadow. Or separate background, separate color gives you a card too as well, right? So use these 3 principles. You can use these 3 principles to actually create a card. Somebody's asking, do you have a video? Do you have any YouTube video on auto layout and constraints? Of course, I do. I have created a video like that before. Let's search for it. Auto layout. I took my time to explain auto layout in terms of responsive. Okay, I think it's this same video, eh? Watch this video, how to make responsive design in Figma, auto layout, constraints, and Figma plugin. So I covered auto layout, I covered constraints inside of this video. But I don't know if there is another video I did particularly about auto layout. I don't think so. Right? Okay, I did another one on auto layouts. Funny enough, I've created so many videos, and I need to just create these videos out of how do I put it? Out of probably if someone. So I covered auto layout in this particular video, right? So if you want to learn about auto layouts, you're looking for a video that clearly explains auto layout as if I'm explaining it to like a 5-year-old, then this is the video that you want to watch. Once you watch this particular video, you will never again have issues with auto layout. In fact, just combine them together. This video and this video, this other responsibility. Once you watch these 2 videos, you will never again have issues with auto layout and constraint as far as design is concerned, right? So, and of course, it's also free. So let me just share a link to that video here too as well, right? So you want to watch that too as well. It's perfect videos for those things. Yeah, self-explanatory. So that being said, let's take a look at what I have here. So I've covered out of that. So you want to avoid using borders for your card too as well, except when necessary. Then image inside of your card, right? So I spoke about image inside of your card. So let's cover that a bit. So if I'm using image out of my card, let me get one image. Let's get this image, Ctrl-C, and put it in here, Ctrl-V. So if I'm using image of my card, so there are two ways you want to use image of your card. Let me draw a frame, a frame person. Let me give this guy white. All right. So there are two ways. Image of your card could go all the way, Ctrl Z, could go all the way like this. Perfect. Image of your card could go all the way like this. This card, this stuff I drew must be a very big card. So the image of your card should go all the way, could go all the way like this, actually, right? Or that is full width, or it will also obey a certain. Let's give this auto layout. Oops. Let's give it a padding of let's say like 20. Oh, sorry. I think I drew a very huge stuff that is making everything just to look funny. So give this stuff like 200. So all right. So you could also maintain a certain margin, something like this. Now this is it, right? So your image inside of your card could look like something like this, of course, right? You could have a margin around it, or it could go full width. If it goes full width, the text that should be coming up should start from here, like this. So if I type something here, so the text should start from here like this. Perfect, right? You could see that the text should start from something like this. But if the image inside the card is like this other one, the text should, just like this. The text should, let's see. So the text should have to start from something like this. The text should start from exactly the line of the image. Now, one thing that you don't want to do, if the image is full width, you don't want to include your text by the edge. You're actually you're making a big mistake here. So you want to stretch it like this and like this as well, right? And ensure that you have the same equal spacing around it. So if you're working with images of your cards, you want to observe. I use frame to make all of my cards because of responsiveness. So as you can see, maybe I wanted to create this particular card example. I went to use frame instead of rectangle. I don't use rectangle to create cards. I use frame because frame allowed me to create responsive card, and I can check my contrast inside of my card using frame too as well. So yeah, frame is my go one for creating cards. So let's proceed. So that's not about card. So the second to the last thing. Okay, that's that. Okay, just 8. Wow, amazing. We've covered everything. So let's see. Let's go back to the first slide and see. So I promise that we are going to cover buttons, consistency, iconography, typography, color, image selection, shadow, layout, and grid cards, then design trends, then final words, right? So we've covered almost everything here. So that's good. So the next thing I want to have is design trends. So what are design trends? So one I love to cover, why I love to cover design trend is the fact that when you want to start any project, you want to ask yourself this question, right? The first thing you want to ask yourself is, what trend do I want to model after? Now, one of the reasons why your designs might not be pretty is that you don't think about the trend. You don't think about the pattern of the design. You just start designing. No. The first thing I do, or any professional will do before they start designing, they think about what pattern do I want to model after. So I have about 10 different design trends right here that you guys should start researching on. The first on my list is illustrative design. So if you go on Google right now and you Google illustrative UI design, right, if you just Google search away, under images, you're going to see stuff. Illustrative UI design are several designs that basically use illustrations, right? And plain colors. Illustrative design trend use illustration and plain color. So you to have a beautiful illustration, yeah, illustrative design, you just need beautiful illustration, right? That have plain colors. And put that inside of a plain color, then you have an amazing UI. Take a look at all of this stuff. It looks a little bit pretty. And the beauty about this design is not just the design itself, is the illustration itself. So, and the use of colors as well. Plain, beautiful, what I would love to call HTML5 or tinted colors. right? So you want to start asking yourself, where do I get libraries on illustration to look for illustration to use? So there are several libraries, and you're just a Google search away from some of those free libraries if you're not a good illustrator, right? So you want to actually do that as well. So once you start using illustrative design in your design, you don't want to mix it with real images anymore. So, and even the illustration have pattern. So you need to understand that in illustration, we have what we call the flat illustration. For example, this illustration is flat illustrations, right? We have this kind of illustration that is a little bit bigger, which we call them there's a geometry illustration in such a way that the bottom will be big while the head will be small, right? We have the doodle illustration as well. You see Namecheap always use this particular kind of illustration. Is it doodle or doodle? Doodle, something like that, the way they pronounce that particular word, D-O-O-L, right? D-O-O-D-L-E. So they have like several illustrations. They have like illustrations that have outlines and so on and so forth. We have the monochrome illustration that is just strictly black and white, right? So you want to actually think about that as well. Then the rest of your design is going to go through that particular pattern. We have the CAD design. Of course, the designs I've been showing you guys, this e-commerce design are basically CAD designs, right? So if you go on Google and you search for CAD design, CAD UI, you're going to see a lot of them. So we have a lot of CAD design, and one of the most popular designs you see out there is their CAD designs, right? So of course, when you see rectangles, blah, 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 they are basically CAD designs, right? So one of the most common designs you see out there are CAD designs, right? And I'm a huge fan of CAD designs, right? Then the next design I want to think of is a 3D design. Now, when you want to come up with 3D design, it's focused. 3D design is a combination of two design patterns, 3D elements instead of your design, and what I call the claymorphism. So if you are coming up with 3D elements, you also want to learn this particular design trend that is called claymorphism, claymorphic UI design. All those designs that have something like this, right? You get hands and so on and so forth. There's a way you apply shadow to create this claymorphic design. Then you want to also look for 3D elements. We have like hands, 3D wherever, 3D hands. I don't know. I used to know a lot of this stuff. Hand gestures, we have hands. This one gives you hands. So I give you 3D hands icon. We have 3D avatars. You search for 3D avatars to get all those heads to use for your design, 3D characters, and so on and so forth. See this other one. So these are 3D avatars too as well. 3D. I've seen a lot of people use this stuff. This is another. So this guy, whoever did this stuff, did an amazing job. It's called Toy Faces. And I've seen a lot of people use it instead of their design. It's called Toy Faces. So you can actually check this particular library as well. It's not a library. It's a set. It's a pack, right? I think the guy will give you about 20 or so toy faces for free, or 100 toy faces for free. Then if you want more, you can actually buy like a couple of other toy faces that are all 3D designs too as well. So it gives you a lot of toy faces for free as well. Then you can now actually get the paid version of it as well if you want more toy faces, right? Which I think if it's a paid project, why not? You want to basically get it, or you want to go and use Blender to come up with the 3D yourself, which I don't advise you to start doing that for a single project, right? So we have avatars, 3D avatar as well, right? They'll give you like probably like 20 for free, then you can buy the remaining as well, right? And they will show you some of the way you can use it inside of your designs as well, right? So there are so many things. You just Google search away from some of these things. Some of them are free, some of them are paid for. And of course, you want to do some certain stuff. People actually use Blender to come up with this stuff. So if you have a couple of dollars to spare, you can actually pay for it, right? So that's the 3D design trend as well you want to consider. So we have the neomorphic design, neomorphism design trend. It's one of the designs that is really beautiful on Behance, but hardly used in real life projects. You want to check neomorphism too as well. Claymorphism, I just spoke about claymorphism as well, right? So there's this recent design trend that is really, really trending That is what Figma is actually using as well. It's called the colored retro design trend. You guys must have seen this design trend a lot. They use retro colors. Now, if you want to do this stuff, the first thing you want to think of is you want to search for retro colors, right? No, retro is like all those old school retro color pack, or there is this particular stuff that have color. What's the word now? Is it color.so? There is a website like that shows you several color packs, right? You just Google search away from those stuff. So once you have the retro color pack, right? So I've seen Figma is actually using it. If you've been noticing Figma as a company, not Figma as a tool, right? Figma as a company, they use this stuff a lot. So let's say you use something like a full flesh yellow. I'm looking for a very thick yellow. They use something like a yellow like this. The shadow will be full black. They can give like a shadow. Let's give this stuff like 20. Then this shadow now will be like a full black shadow. You see what I'm trying to say now? This shadow now will be like full black. The transparency will be full like this. I think I'm making this stuff too big. I'm making it too big. Let me reduce this stuff to 200. I will now apply something to now be looking. See how far I've zoomed? Just imagine. All right. So they'll do the blur. They will not apply blur to it. This kind of design trend, you don't apply blur to it, right? So it's like this. I believe most of you must have seen this kind of colors, this kind of thick shadow, 100% opacity shadow. No, can even attach more stuff. Then probably the distance is too much. Let me make it 5 and 5. So you must have seen something like this, right? And probably let me add a little bit of tints to this color. Then the tint will not be good. A little bit of shade. All right. Aha. So this is one retro yellow, and the shadow will be full black and so on and so forth. Sometimes full edge like this. Sometimes again, if they are creating like you see Gumroad under this particular site, the popular one, Gumroad that people use for payment, right? That is what they use inside. That's the design they use for their site, right? So it's a little bit retro. It has like thick color outline. You could see that thick color outline. The shadow are 100% opacity and stuffs like that. A lot of macro effect going on there, right? And multiple colors and so on and so forth. It's one of the most popular design trends. Not popular. I've seen a lot of it these days. Right? So you might also want to consider that as well. So you want to ask yourself, do I want to go through this retro feel that is a little bit trendy now and design along with it before I start my design? You consider what they use in this particular website, right? And the outlines are always thick, 100% black. If you're applying shadow to it, the shadow does not have opacity, does not have blur. So it's a design trend too as well. Then they combine several colors, thick plain colors to it as well. And that is currently trending right now. This particular trend is currently, that's what they call it trend now. What is the trend is currently trend? What am I saying? If it is not trending, I will not call it design trend in the first place. Don't mind me, Jerry. All right, that being said, you could see it here being used. You see multiple colors are being used. Play with primary colors, retro colors. The outlines are thick, the shadows are thick, no blur, and so on and so forth. Then we have another one, which is one of my best design, minimalism design trend. I always like minimalistic design trend. So for minimalistic design, there are two things you want to do if you want to achieve minimalistic UI. Number one, you want to use quality images that have plain colors. You want to use nice plain colors that has tint background, tint colors as well. You also want to ensure that your text, right? Let me show you guys a little bit trick to achieve minimalistic design. If I'm writing a text, so let's say sample whatever. Let me reduce this. Let me do this stuff like 40, right? So this is not, no matter how I do this, this cannot be minimalistic. Let me duplicate it now. To make this one further minimalistic, I would introduce what I call my letter spacing. See, zoom here now. See, letter spacing. I'll introduce my letter spacing. I'll make this like, let's say 100 and see 100. Oh, 100 is too much. Let's make it 30. Now, as I make it 30, I'm already achieving a little bit of minimalistic design, right? But not yet. I need one more thing to make it minimalistic, to make it more minimalistic. I need to make it thin or light. Perfect. Now, this is a minimalistic text. Now, let me use this particular plugin called Lorem Ipsum plugin. If I use Lorem Ipsum plugin now and generates like a sample Lorem the audio and do this here, and let's say I have Lorem the audio. All right. Let's say I have something like this. Lorem Ipsum set Amet. Now, once I have something like this now, and let me reduce the letter spacing to like 20, probably is too much. You see, letter spacing allow me to achieve. Now, the next thing I want to do now is line height. So line height is another thing you want to add to also achieve a minimalistic text as well inside of your design. So let's give this stuff 5. Okay, this is my paragraph spacing. No, I'm looking for line height, not paragraph spacing. I'm looking for line height. Line height. Okay, this is my line height. So let's give it like 10. Oh, no. This is 40, so it should be around like 50 thereabout. All right, this is my line height. So the more you increase this, you get your line height to like 60 or so and so forth. So I have a minimalistic text. Then this one now, let's say this stuff is a heading, right? Let's say this stuff is heading now. I'll just make it capital letter like this. Then I'll make it thin as well. I'll make it light. Once I make it light, then I'll make it a little bit bigger. That's like 64, right? Then to create hierarchy now, right? I will use the I'll use the color of that not to be full black, something like this. Guess what? If you see these two stuff inside, Control Z. If you see these two stuff inside a white frame, let me draw a white frame around it. Inside a white frame like this, you have something that looks as a little bit more minimal in a way. Then I could also apply some stuff here as well to it. You see that I have an amazing minimalistic design there, right? So once I'm doing this stuff like this, I can still check for my contrast by using the plugin I showed you guys yesterday, the A11 white contrast checker. I right click, I will check it and see if the contrast is amazing. Amazing, I have an amazing contrast there. If I have an amazing contrast, I'm good to go. Then the next thing I have to do is start to use this stuff in my design. Then once I apply any image here, do I have any image here? Let me copy this image. Control C. Once I apply any image inside Control V, oops, see the image is a big one, right? It's a big image there. All right. Oops, what did I do? Let me stretch this a bit. Let me go to my layer there. I'll look for my text and bring it down. Down. Let's go. All right. Aha. Guess what? We are achieving more minimalistic design, right? So you see what I'm trying to say, right? So these are just like simple tricks to do something. So at first, I want to ask myself in the beginning of the entire design. And of course, I cannot use this kind of image. Now, this text is minimal and everything, but the image itself is not minimal, right? So for me to achieve minimalistic design, I have to go to like Unsplash and go and look for image that has like plain background color, right? Let's say something like this now. So if I'm using something like this now, that kind of image I'm using there will not fly for a minimalistic design because the image itself is not a minimalistic image in a way. It's a very busy image. So I cannot use this kind of image. So I want to use something that's a little bit minimal too. Something like this, probably, right? Let me shape this. Figma is a good plug, it's a good tool, right? And flip it vertically. All right. So I have something like this. So you see, now this is better to explain my design because the image is a little bit minimal, right? So back to what I was saying. So you want to minimalistic design is one of my best designs that I love to follow most of my design whenever I want to achieve it. Then we have glassmorphism. So glassmorphism, I'm going to explain glassmorphism too. It's an amazing design trend. I love it. People use it to create Visa cards and so on and so forth. Good. Then the last but not the least design trend is the dark theme design trend, right? So let me show you guys something. So final words. What would my final word? So my final word for you guys will be to keep practicing, right? I've like shared a lot of information in this particular class, coming from yesterday to today. If you practice this particular stuff, you are going to like 10x your UI game, right? And there's a lot of jobs out there for UI designer. If you just go on Google alone, I love to use Google very well. If you just go on Google alone and search for UI jobs, right? There's a lot of jobs out there for UI designers. So go. For you to get some of these jobs, both in Nigeria and outside the country, you just need to hone your skill, build your portfolio, have an amazing case study inside of your portfolio. And if you are still at the very, very early beginner stage, I would advise you to look for a more structured course to learn. Look, I advise people learn it through YouTube a lot, right? I used to tell them that, look, if you don't have money, while you're waiting to have a lot of money to pay for an amazing course, probably for a boot camp, right? Use YouTube to learn. And if you have a little money, you can use Udemy to go and look for a more structured course, right? I don't even advise people to use YouTube to learn, except you don't have money. But if you have a little money to spare, you can look for a more structured course on Udemy or enroll for like the Nerdy Eye course, for example. Now, if there's anybody here that would love to take a more structured course that comes with mentorship, that you have like case study, that you can have like projects to add to your case study from start to finish. Personally, I would say I've not seen a UI course that is that complete like that of Nerdy Eye course, right? And the fee is 60,000 naira. Let me send the link to probably anybody here. I don't know if I have the link off head. Let me just type Flutter with okay, pay online. So this is it. So this is the cost. So once you pay for the particular course, it's 60,000 naira. It takes you from UX, everything you learn, you get to learn UX, you get to learn UI, the design principle videos. There's a video recording I did with this material is in there too as well. Design system is in there, portfolio building is in there. Then you also be able to join a support group on WhatsApp. Then you can also join live session and get mentored by myself as well. So you take this particular course, someone like myself will be there to mentor you through your UI design career as well. That is if you have the money, right? But if you don't have the money and there's no problem, you can always use YouTube or some of this stuff. I also make videos on YouTube, of course, with some of my materials on YouTube as well that I have recorded personally. But if you have 60,000 naira to spare, right? Except if you don't, right? If you have 60,000 naira to spare to take this particular course and UI design is something that you really want for yourself, right? I don't think you should actually sleep on this. I think this is an offer that you should take. It's one offer that you will hardly see out there, an offer that you will learn UX, UI. You have about close to 100 videos to learn. You have someone like myself that you can always, I will give you my audience to, like, when you chat me up on WhatsApp, I'll be able to respond to you. And so sometimes people attend free classes like this, and probably because they are in a WhatsApp group, they feel like, okay, they can always send me like a WhatsApp message. And the truth is, I have no obligation. I have no serious obligation to really respond to your WhatsApp message that much. Like, but if you enroll for this kind of course, now you're inside the support group, you ask a question inside the support group, I definitely, or any other of my colleagues who want to respond to your WhatsApp message like that, because of course, I will want you to have like an amazing experience, right? And you also have access to all of these materials too as well. So that's just it. You don't have money to spare, that's cool. Use YouTube, learn, sharpen your skill till you have money. You have money to spare, 60,000 is a small money. 60,000, jump on it right now, right? Don't wait till next week when they will say that it's now 75,000 naira by next week. So you don't want to wait till next week. You want to do it like right now, like this night. So that's one by the side. The second one is that if you are planning to relocate, so I have a friend that relocated to UK, right? And over there, he started learning UI UX design and so on and so forth. And I realized something, right? I realized that when you move, you leave the country and you don't have the tech skill, you have the kind of jobs that you get over there. You get like caregiver related kind of job, waitress related kind of job, store attendant related kind of job, all those Walmart store attendants where you just be standing and be taking notes, right? And the pay you get will be less compared to when you have a tech skill. So I thought of this stuff, and for the first time, I'm doing it for the first time actually. For especially people that will be in Lagos, I want people that are in Lagos so that we can actually meet physically somewhere in Lekki. I would want like 20 people that are actually planning to relocate, right? If you're relocating, if you're currently working on your visa, probably you want to travel abroad for school, you want to relocate or something of that nature, and okay, when I move outside this country, Nigeria, I want to have a solid tech skill that can actually fetch me a good amount of money. I want to be making like $100,000 annually, right? So I came up with a program. This program is going to run from now to it's going to start September, and it's run all through September, October, November, December, January. Now it's going to run for 4 to 5 months. The reason why I made it that long is that I wanted to have a slow, structured pace, right? In such a way that you will learn UI UX. I will personally mentor you one-on-one, come with an amazing case study. I will show you platforms right here in Nigeria that you can start, that you can use to apply for a job over there. And you can, even from Nigeria, secure a remote job that can be paying you in dollars. I'll work with you one-on-one physically. We'll be meeting physically once in 2 weeks. And we'll be having a class once in 2 hours. I'll mentor these 20 people to build their portfolio from scratch. So even if you don't know jack about UI UX, as long as you are willing to learn and you're working on your papers, if you're willing to learn and you're not planning to travel out, please don't try to join. Just probably take the regular NEDI course, right? But if you're working on your papers, this is between me and you as Samuel, right? We'll work together, come up with amazing portfolio, irresistible portfolio. I will work with you to have 2 major projects inside of your portfolio, right? And if you're interested in this particular travel out case offer, send me a DM this night. I'll tell you what to do, right? And if you're asking if it is free or if it's not free, it's not free. It's going to cost you $1,000. So that $1,000 covers for that 5 months, right, of that particular program, right? So it's like $1,000. That is about $1 now is like $650. That's about $750,000 now. You can pay twice, right? So if it is something that you know that you want to do, right, and you want to have this an amazing opportunity, $1,000 is actually a very small money if you compare it to what you gain from it. Okay, let's paint a picture that you finally got the job, or even a remote job, even before you go move out. And that remote job, you are earning like $4,000, or let's even say $2,000, last. Let's say $2,000. You're earning $2,000, right? From your first month, you're already covering that. So the question is, do I have $1,000, or do I have a family that can actually give me $1,000 to sponsor me in this particular program? If you do, you want to meet them and tell them, look, this stuff is something that's going to help my life, going to help my career, I'm going to gain a lot from it, and you want to actually do it. But if you don't have the money, I understand. Sometimes quality education, quality program like this costs a lot of money. It's going to cost me my time and attention, number one. I'm a very busy person, right? It's going to cost me some other things, some other logistics too as well, to ensure that you guys have the right quality, right? So quality education costs a lot too as well. So if you have a family, you can actually achieve that. You can actually afford that. You want to go for it. But if you cannot afford it, there is no problem. It's a done deal. Go for the ones that you can afford. Go for free YouTube course videos. Go for Udemy videos. Go for NEDI Bootcamp. Go for the 60,000 NEDI online course that also have amazing and intense value, right? But if you want this, even if you don't plan on moving out, I don't really want you in that other program. I just want people that are currently working on their papers. That's just the truth, that they want to move out, because everything that we're going to be doing is not just about the skill. So we have rich doctors and broke doctors in tech too. We have rich people, we have rich tech bros and broke tech bros. So everything I'm going to be doing is not about the skill. It's just about, we'll learn the skill and we'll learn how to position ourselves for the foreign market with the skill. That is why I want people that are actually planning to leave the shores of Nigeria. That's just it. So even if you want to do this stuff, but you're not planning to leave the shores of Nigeria, don't message me about that other one. Just go for this other one here. That was the truth. If I ask you that you want to leave the shores of Nigeria, you say no, I'm not going to accept you in, because we will not be having the same frame mindset in that particular program, right? So that's just it, right? So send me a message on WhatsApp, on Telegram. Someone is asking for my WhatsApp number. This is my WhatsApp number. Let me send it. It's my personal number. So please send me WhatsApp message. Don't call me, because everybody's calling me now. It will be too much for me to actually be here, right? So 081307867. That's my personal number over there. Send me a WhatsApp message. Just tell me, hi, my name is John. I'm interested in the UI UX for people that want to relocate program. I'll tell you what to do, right? And if you want this particular general course as well, you can also send me a DM, but I already send the link here too as well. You can also get that, right? So I thank you guys for spending time with me for this particular 2 days. That's about almost 4 hours. If we count 2 hours yesterday and 2 hours today, I really appreciate you guys' effort for showing up, right? And I wish each and every one of us the best. One thing in tech is that tech is really promising. No matter the number of UX designers that we have, there are a lot of people that are still wanting to build products, right? So every month, I get people telling me that, someone, I have this idea, I want to do, how much is it going to cost, blah, blah, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of things going around. And the other day I was advising some of the people at NetDI, some of our NetDI graduates, that there are 3 ways you can actually start up your career to look for a job. Is you either start looking for a job from open vacancies, or you apply for talent accelerator programs, or start looking for a remote job. But that's all I have for you guys tonight. So I'm open to take a few questions before we say good night. So any questions for me, guys? Any question for me?
I don't have a question.
He said, go ahead, I can hear you.
Okay. So it's going to be regarding the first part, the button part. Sorry, I'm taking you back.
Okay.
So you said your 2:1 or 3:1 that you use. So my question is to have a consistent.
I'm not hearing you clearly. Just
Okay, I said.
Wait, just give me a minute. Give me a few seconds. Let me. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, I can hear you now.
Yeah, so you said your button hack that you have 2:1 and 3:1.
Yeah.
So a consistent button. So if you are using either of the button hacks, then let's say for a login page, or probably you have a text that is more longer, because I believe that is it wrong if your button app size, though the paddings are either 2:1 or 3:1, but the sizes, like the consistency in the size doesn't matter.
All right.
I don't know if you get my question.
I got it perfectly. Permit me to share my screen to answer this particular question, guys. Permit me to share my screen. So just as I've said in terms of the button hack, let me go to that easy to code design again. So now take a look at this particular button. I did all of them. So while you're designing your UI, there might be need for several sizes of button. There might be need for several sizes of button. So I have 3 sizes of button here now. So this size of button now, let me duplicate it 3 times. So they are all in components in that particular library. So this one now, as you can see here, the size is large. This one, as you can see here, the size now I can change it to medium. Look at, it's smaller. This one, as you can see here, I can change the size to small. All are part of the same design system. You see? So now it depends on my UI, on that particular page. Okay, what size of button am I using? What do I want to do? Do I want to create emphasis on that particular button? I can use small. Now, I also, apart from that large button, for example, now I can have something like, let me just duplicate this again. I can have something like this. Now, this could be sign up. Just watch. This could be, I could use this upside the inside of a, this could be sign up, right? And I can duplicate this now. Hey, Control Z, what did I do? I can duplicate this now. let it touch each other, and I will call this other one login. So if I call this login now, I put it here, then the type now, I'll move it from not outline, but give it text. So it will look like this, right? So this, you must have seen buttons like this now, 2 buttons touching one another like this, but one is text-based, while the other one is that same login. But they are all maintaining that same 2:1. So now, at first, I thought that the question I wanted to ask me is, if I start with 2:1, should I maintain 2:1 across the entire project? If you start with 2:1 button, the entire project, that particular project should just only be 2:1 all through. If you start with 3:1, the entire project should just be 3:1 all through. You should not like mix them up, right? So that's what I was thinking that you wanted to ask me. But nonetheless, so that's just it, right? So you can have several sizes of button in the same project. So it depends at what point where you choose to use either large button. You can even add extra large. So you can even have extra large, large, medium, small, extra small. So it depends on how far you want to go, right? That is why in this particular library, I have the 2 of them. I have the large, medium, and small. I also have the outline. I also have the text, and I also have the primary colors of each of those sizes. I did it 6 ways. So this is a lot. I did the primary color, I did the secondary color, I did the gray, I did the sources, I did the error, I did the warning, I did the info for all large, I did do all those stuff for all medium, so it's a whole lot of work. Yeah, but now they are all grouped into as one component, so I can easily switch. That's what makes it the design system. Yeah, thank you so much. So any other question, please? Any other question?
Yeah, hello, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, please, I would like you to show us a finished projects that you have done. Maybe 2 of it. How you started it. What you have in mind when you are starting it, and then the end part. So maybe you should just run through it. That okay, this project is about this. I got it from this particular angle, and this is what I thought before I started it. Then this is what I started. I started it from this angle. Then I get to this middle, and then after running through it alongside, you also share the challenges you had in each of the projects. Thank you.
What you're asking me is a complete case study. Hope you know that's what you're asking me. I should go through 2 different case studies for you guys right now. That's the question actually. Right? What's the best icon pack you can suggest? Okay. Okay. I will answer these 2 questions. I will answer your case study question, and I will also answer that name is Lexi. That's a very unique name. I also answer Lexi's question. What is the best icon pack? Okay, permit me to refresh my screen, to share my screen again. So I'll share my screen and I will quickly answer those 2 questions. Okay, now let me start with the best icon pack question. I think so far so good. My best icon pack, and it has a plugin that I've been using. I have two major best icon pack. So the first one is Iconly. I love Iconly a lot. So the reason why I love Iconly, I'll give you my reasons. Your internet is unstable. The reason why I love Iconly is that Iconly provides like some of the most common icons that you would ever use. The designs of the icons are really pretty. So why? Because I'm also a developer, right? I'm a full stack developer. So I look for things that will be easy for me to develop as well. So this is like the Iconly 2.3 icon pack. So they have like solid, what I call solid, they call it bulk. They have the dual tones. That is the 2 tones, right? They have 2 tones. It's an amazing plugin too. It's an amazing icon. They have the outlines too as well. They have the broken ones. They have the 2 tones ones, and they have the curve. So I love this particular icon pack. This would be the number 1 on my list, right? In terms of the icons that I love. Then the second icon pack that I love again so much is feather icons, and I'll give you my reason. I love feather icons, and I hate it too. I have love-hate relationship of feather icons. I hate it because sometimes I'm using it for a recent project, and it's giving me a little bit of headache in terms of when I use it inside of my component and so on and so forth. But one of the reasons why I love feather icons is the fact that it has, when it comes to the front end, that is development of these actual designs, right? Bringing the design to reality. So the software development life cycle does not end in design. It starts with design, basically. So after design, you want to build a particular application, right? So when I go to React, feather icons also have a React plugin, a React package, not plugin, sorry, a React package called feather React icons, right? A React package that I can easily just install instead of my React and start to call them than if the icon, if I download the icon from like flat icons, I would have to like export it as SVG and bring it into my code, and it would be difficult to develop using those kind of icons. So I always love icons that have React packages that can easily be used and easily be developed with, right? So these two icon pack are my major icon pack for these two reasons. Both of them have React packages that I can easily use in the front end, and both of them are easy to be customized as well. And they have a lot of the common icons that you will ever need for several applications that you might be working on. But nonetheless, sometimes you look for several icons depending on the project that you are working on as well, right? So for example, if you're working on a movie application, this kind of icon pack might not serve. And the third on my list too as well, if I were the third icon pack, would be Font Awesome. So Font Awesome come up with the version 6. So if you have the latest Font Awesome version 6 account, that is the pro account for Font Awesome, you have an amazing Font Awesome plugin icons as well in that version 6. But their lesser version are not beautiful, but the version 6, they up their game, and Font Awesome version 6 icon pack is amazing, right? And they also have like a React package manager too as well. So those are my favorite icon pack for now, right? So the second one, you asked me to show you case study from start to finish. Who is saying something? All right.
I'm sorry, I wanted to ask that should
just put it there, right? So let me just answer these two questions before I answer another one. Just put it inside the chat box. So if you have a question, just put it inside the chat box so that I can just go through it. I'll take like 2-3 questions, then we'll call it a night. The other question is, let me show you. You are asking for a brief, not a brief. You're asking for a case study. Now, if you take the NEDI course, you are going to work on a particular project from start to finish. So that's what I'm going to show you. So I'm going to show you how do I do this now? Okay, let me show you something. I want to go and get the brief itself. Classroom.com. So I want to get the brief itself. So while I'm trying to get the brief, permits me to also come over here to show you guys something. All right. All right. Permit me to get the brief. See, this is huge work. So your design project starts from a brief, right? So in most cases, the brief might not be your job, right? In most cases, the brief is not your job. So let's say that you you sign up for the Nerdy Icon, so you have access to all of these things. Right. And one thing I always advise people to do sometimes, except if you don't have money to spare, but if you have money to spare, this thing is skill, this thing is education, this thing is something that at the end of the day is going to be an asset. I tell people that I have sold my knowledge 1,000 times and I still have it. That's the only thing that you can actually sell 1 million times and you can make 10 million naira with it and you still have it. If it's a land, if you sell a land for 10 million naira, that land no longer belongs to you, right? But if you sell a house if you sell your knowledge for 10 million naira, you still have your knowledge and you have the 10 million naira, it's a win-win. So, and if you have money to spare, why not you pay for 150K for physical boot camp if you're in Lagos, 60K for the online one, than to do that. But if you don't have the money, of course, we all understand that the country, especially if you're in Nigeria, the economy is not smiling. Okay, and this is a sample brief, right? And the major part of the brief is saying that this is a simple e-commerce web and mobile application that will enable users easily buy products online at ease. The core feature is that we want to ensure that users should be able to buy stuff without necessarily creating an account. So it's called guest checkout. So in the course, in the very first introduction of the course, you'll be introduced to the brief. So the entire course is structured in such a way that we have a brief. They want to complete it to case study level by the end of the course. So once you have the brief here, so the next thing that you want to talk about is you want to start your UX research. So you want to talk about your UX objective, your hypothesis, your methods, your research methodologies, and so on and so forth. So you learn a lot of stuff there. You learn about survey questions. You learn about how to carry out surveys, how to carry out research. You learn about empathy mapping, user persona, cognitive analysis, user stories, user journey mapping, sitemap, user flow, low fidelity user flow, high fidelity user flow. You learn a lot of stuff. We will not end our US under information architecture. We'll not start UI. When we get to UI, we'll not start talking about wireframe. We'll not talk about low fidelity wireframe. We'll not talk about high fidelity wireframe. For example, what you're seeing here is low fidelity wireframe. This other side is the high fidelity wireframe. After we learn wireframe, we now start learning mockup. After you learn mockup, you now learn prototype. After you learn prototype, you now learn design system. You now learn design principles. You will now talk about case study, how to arrange this in a case study format. I think it was you guys yesterday that was showing you guys the case study of the project, right? You now learn how to arrange in a case study format and how to host your portfolio on Behance. By the time you host your portfolio, you are done with the entire project. Then you are done with the course. I think I've answered that. Then I believe I answered your question. Am I correct? Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead. Yeah, you're welcome. So
Yes,
someone is asking me.
You've answered it somehow.
All right. I answered it completely, actually. If you want me to answer it more in-depth than how I answered it, that means you want me to start taking another new 2 hours. You want to write for another 2 hours again. Yeah. So that's the best I can do now. So kindly help share your button slide. The second question is, how long does the physical bootcamp last? All right, let me share my button slide. So I will just show you guys. So you can take a screenshot. As I told you guys yesterday, I cannot give you guys this particular file because these are premium resources you guys are getting for free. So button should be the first one. No. The first one for today. This is it. So let's go. All right. So you have is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6. They're all under buttons. 6 slide under buttons. So how long? The physical bootcamp is 2 months. If it's 2 months, you get trained for 2 months. You get mentored for 1 month. Then we help you secure internship if you come up with a case study, right? If you come up with a case study, that's the condition. That's I add that if there. Then for the online training is self-paced. the lessons are pre-recorded videos, pre-recorded lessons. So it's not like a live training. So you have the videos you learn. Then we'll meet once in every 2 weeks for clarity session. You ask questions, I answer you, blah blah. You can schedule for a mentorship, a one-on-one, not mentorship, a one-on-one session with me at any point in time while taking the course during your first 2 months. If let's say you're watching the video now, you know those points where you're watching the video, you're achieving it inside the video of the course, but you cannot achieve it on your system. I don't have anybody to run to. So in this case, you have me to run to. Right? You can chat me up on WhatsApp, I will answer you and the rest. But if you just join my free classes like this and you chat me up on WhatsApp, yeah, if I'm in a good mood, I'll answer. If I feel like I'm not going to answer you, depend on my mood and depend on how busy I am. But in this other case, because I always check that the WhatsApp group to look out for questions. So yeah, that one is there too as well. So the online one is self-paced. Just want to be disciplined and watch the videos, attend the classes, the live sessions once in 2 weeks, usually on Mondays by 8 p.m. And we'll ask one another, and you can network with other people as well inside the support group as well. So that's just it. So that's it. So it's something that you should do if you have 60,000 naira or you have 150,000 naira for the physical class. The physical class is somewhere around Yaba, Lagos, right? So you can actually do that too as well. And for the physical class, we always have like 3 batches, 10 students per class. It's always filled up. It's always sold out. So the next session now is like September 1st. So you want to hurry up if you want to have a physical session. You meet one amazing, beautiful, intelligent lady that will take you. So you know that question?
Yes, please, I have a question. What's the outline like for the online class? I'm trying to compare right now what the advantage of one over the other is.
Okay, they are basically the same course content. Even if you are enrolling or if you want to join another program I spoke of, the what's the word? The UI design training for people relocating is the same course content. 3 of them.
The Jackpot program.
Yes, it's the same course content. The difference is the level of mentorship, attention that you get at different levels. That was the major difference, right? But in terms of course content, they are the same thing. And the course content is user experience design, UI design, design principles that you guys have also learned here for free, portfolio building, what again? There are about 6 like that. There are 6 of, I can't remember them off head right now, but it's the same course content. And the physical one now is that you get to meet people physically. You have to stand, you can network with people physically. You have a physical instructor that you know their name. You guys can become friends. So stuff like that. And the rest, you get to come into our office physically. One of these days, you might see physically if I'm around. If I come around and you're around, stuff like that. So some of those things is what you get physically that you might not get online. So those are the things. Then for the Jackpot program too, as in giving it the name Jackpot program, that one now is that now I'll be the one that will be teaching you. For the physical class, I'm not the one that will be teaching you, right? That program is that I'll be the one that will be teaching you. We'll be in the same space together. I will give you 4 to 5 months of my time and attention. Just basically like I'm mentoring you, right? So it's more one-on-one mentorship program. It's just like part of it you are learning. After you learn, you have like one-on-one mentorship stuff. We'll work on the Jackpot stuff together. We'll work on a lot of stuff together. I personally look into your case study. I personally teach you. That's just it, right? So that's just it. So those are the major difference. But at the end of the day, for the course content itself, is the same thing, right? So one thing I always tell people that even I've mentioned a lot of stuff here that is premium for free. What does that tell you? That sometimes you can even get paid stuff for free. But let's say that you go to YouTube, you want to learn. In fact, all of this stuff that you guys have learned in this like couple of hours, in these 2 days for free right here, if you want to YouTube it out, it might take you 3 to 6 months to figure all of this stuff out yourself on YouTube if you don't lie to yourself. If you're not lying to yourself. Because number one, you don't know what to search for, right? Then when you finally know what to search for, you watch one video that will not be complete. You move to another video that will not be complete. You move to another video that will not be complete. It might take you 6 months to actually, this is exactly what UX means. But you attend a webinar like this, it takes you 2 hours to figure it out. You come to a class, right? Watch YouTube will take you 1 year to follow it. Okay, now you really understand. If you go on YouTube right now and you search for UI crash course, UI UX crash course, the first thing they will start to do, you just watch 1 hour, 30 minutes video. The guy will just go on Figma, design one landing page, and you say a UX designer. You're not a UX designer like that. So, but if you take like a short course, like for example, the NetDI course now, the first 2 weeks, you will not even draw rectangle. That's what's the truth. In the first 2 weeks, you will be asked, when are we going to start designing this thing? Right? Because it's such a way that you understand the in and out. So when you speak out there as a UX designer, you can actually be bold. You know everything, both theoretically and practically as well. Right? So you don't just design frame for designing frame. You design frame because there's a reason for designing frame. You understand the UX stuff. So it's just that way. Right? As I said, quality education sometimes is expensive. But not that you cannot learn it for free. What you will learn for 3 months at NDI, it might take you 2 years or more to figure it all out on yourself on YouTube. Because number one, the information is actually there on YouTube, but they are scattered, unorganized, right? So for you to now connect the whole dots together and say, that video I watched 3 months ago, that's how it connects with this one I'm watching now. That's how it connects with this one I'm watching now. Before you get to that wow, moment, it might take you 2 years to finally figure it all out yourself. So that's just the truth. But you finally get it. So that's just the thing. So you're using your money to buy time and save yourself some stress and to succeed faster. That's just it. So any other question, I will call it a night.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
One more question. The physical class boot camp, what's the duration like? And is it every day? I don't know. I want to get that also.
Okay, it's 2 months. It's twice in a week, usually Thursdays and Fridays for 2 months of training, then 1 month of mentorship. So you just give yourself like 3 months.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks.
All right, thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate you guys for waiting to this particular point in time. Cryptochemistry. The name sounds familiar. Thank you guys for joining. Solution Hub, thank you for staying to this point. Stanley, Amira, Treasure, Olakunle, Kubo, Joy. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful night's rest. And if I have any other thing that is coming up, I'll let you guys know inside the group. But the group will be muted, of course. Good night. Pelumi, thank you for also coming around. I see you.